bring 'em out, bring 'em out, bring 'em out, bring 'em out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth.
Come on.
Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. Hey. Bring 'em out, 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 bring 'em out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth.
Coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he got three. That other rapper gotta hit me. Y'all coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he got three. That other rapper gotta hit me. Y'all coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he got three. That other rapper gotta hit me. Y'all coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he got three. That other rapper gotta hit me. Y'all coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he got three. That other rapper gotta hit me. Y'all coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he got three. That other rapper gotta hit me. Y'all coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he got three. That other rapper gotta hit me. Y'all coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he got three. That other rapper gotta hit me. Y'all coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he got three. That other rapper gotta hit me. Y'all coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without you. Hope feds in the state wanna see by me. The whole city got this, heard he
print off an agenda, but I ran out of ink. So, oh yeah, but it doesn't. I guess I can send you that. I tried to print off an agenda, but I ran out of ink. So, yeah, because that's how it turned out. Oh yeah, but it doesn't. I guess I can send you that. I tried to print off an agenda, but I ran out of ink. So, because that's how it turned out. Oh yeah, but it doesn't. Just that, yeah, no, just that one. I tried to print off an agenda, but I ran out of ink. So, because that's how it turned out. Oh yeah, but it doesn't. Just that, yeah, no, just that one. I tried to print off an agenda, but I ran out of ink. So, because that's how it turned out. Oh yeah, but it doesn't. Just that, yeah, no, just that one. I tried to print off an agenda, but I ran out of ink. Alrighty, we'll get started. Thanks everybody for coming out. This meeting is few months later than typical because my apologies, I didn't get it rounded up and everything set aside last fall.
We'll get started.
Some other things got in the road, but
Thanks everybody for coming
we're
out.
ahead and get it done now so we can get rolling on our new season as it's doesn't look like it outside, but it is fastly approaching.
We'll get started.
In order to get a bunch of stuff done.
In the road, but
So,
everybody for coming out.
to start off with, new season, as it's last board meeting we had, just a quick review of some minutes. We'll go through it real quick and then. So, start out, we're going to be going over today. Last board meeting we had, just a quick review of some minutes. Next deal. We went over rule changes, which we'll go over that today. There's been some rule changes again. We started, we're going to be going over today. And we'll have to, today we talked about voting on new board members, where's majors and minors, state and district will be, equipment needs, set up this meeting, and every kind of, that was kind of the review of that, so quick review of minutes from last time. Quickly, Rand, if you don't mind giving me financial updates, set up this meeting, and every kind of, that was kind of the review of that, so quick review of minutes from last time. Quickly, Rand, if you don't mind giving me financial updates, set up this meeting,
Balance as of today is $6,464.73.
That's awesome. Thank you. To go along with the finances, in our last meeting we did vote as a board to up. And this is the reason behind this is district fees went up $5 a player. And so because of that, finances, the majors and the minors $5. So now our minors fee, this is the reason behind this is minors fee, I believe is 50 and our majors. So to go along with the finances, majors and the minors $5. So now they both went minors fee. This is the reason $5. Minors fee and last 50 and majors. To go along with the finances, so that's what those are now. For me, that was just due to we were able to cover over everything last year, fairly good with the fee. We are still quite a bit under the community and our programs. For me, that was just due to we were able to cover over everything last year, fairly good due to a lot. Just we are still quite a bit under. Had a great return sponsors last 2 years. I think last year we only had 2 or 3 teams that were unsponsored, and so that's pretty cool. I mean, we had 4 major teams, 6 minor teams, I believe, 8 pitching machine, and I think 9 t-ball teams. And so in order to have all of those, and that was a $500 sponsorship per team to get those. So I mean, it was pretty impressive what we were able to. Thanks to the community for that. We'll just jump right into this, the rule review. So every year, Little League's always updating their rules. The best thing I would say is if you have a smartphone, go here and get it downloaded. Because as it updates, it just automatically will update to your phone. So you have all the new and current update rules that are going on. They'll just automatically be kicked to your phone. So one of the big rules doesn't affect us because we don't have any intermediate, junior, or senior leagues, but they are doing away with an 8th inning. They're going automatically to they're placing the player who is scheduled to bat last in the respective half inning on second base to begin each extra inning after that. So they're not playing a true inning. They're putting somebody on second in order to break that. From what I've seen, that is not the case for minors and majors. So in district play, tournament play, that rule is not in effect. They will just continue to play extra innings. Here is one, though, that is interesting. In both softball and baseball, Little League has adjusted its rule that permits a coach or manager to use one-way communication to the catcher while the team is on defense for the purpose of calling pitches. However, a manager or coach is prohibited from using the device to communicate with any other team member while on defense or any team member, including a manager or coach, while on offense, and a manager or coach shall not use the device outside of the dugout bench area. So technically now you can put a earpiece in a catcher, and you can have the coach on the bench calling pitches if you'd like. That is legal. It just can't go anywhere else or be used in any other way. So I thought that was interesting. Probably not going to see that too much in our season games, but for tournament play, if that was a coaches could do that. Big one, bats will no longer be checked by the umpires. It is solely on the responsibility of the manager is who it truly is in charge of it. We have decided as a board that board members will also be checking those bats before each game, just so we can do it. And the whole reason behind this bat deal, just clarification, is injury. If a player was to get hurt and the bat used was not a USA bat, it can open up some liability lawsuits. That is it. And so due to USA bats are made, there's not quite as much pop. Anybody that does travel ball, you've seen the U-trip bats, they hit. BB core bats, you can, same thing, those are made to hit. USA bats are too, but they do take some out of them. And so it's not coming off quite as fast. So that is the reason why we use a USA bat. So USA bats have, just remember, clarification, USA on them. If it does not have that, it is not a USA bat. And then one-piece wood bats are legal. We had some miscommunications on that last year, but yes, one-piece wood bats are a legal bat as well. Another one, because the kids all like to wear the bling, it is now legal. So they can wear a baseball necklace, they can wear, what do they say exact? Oh, but this is, so in the bat deal, you are not able to use a choke knob, choke up assist, or a thumb protector are considered alterations to the bat and are not permitted either. So that is a new rule. Last year you could use a thumb protector and you could use a choke knob, but those are now no longer able to be on a bat. So bats have to be clean of everything, no thumb guards. I don't understand. I don't get that rule at all. But in order to be Little League, we got to abide by it. So there's that one. That's softball only. Neoprene sleeves can be worn without being covered by an undershirt, provided the neoprene sleeve is a solid color and not white or gray. So this has been another one of those with pitching, all the sleeve stuff. So you can wear one. It just has to be a solid color and it cannot be white or gray. The requirement of jewelry is removed. Jewelry can be worn. It doesn't even say like how many. So kid wants to wear 18 chains, he can wear 18 chains. So that's now, you know, no longer having to tell them, hey, going around looking at all that, it can be worn. I guess they got diamond studs they want to wear, they can wear them. So however you want to go about it. Pitcher, let's see. So this is a clarification. The pitcher may wear items on the glove, hand, wrist, or arm that is a or arm of the non-pitching arm of a solid single color, provided it is not the same color as the ball being used in the game. We use a white ball with red, so they cannot wear a white sleeve, but they could wear a different colored sleeve. And again, now another one is helmet stickers. You can use helmet stickers or decals if they're not in excess, not offensive. It's a another can of worms. But the biggest thing is it does not make inappropriate references to things such as drugs or alcohol. So can't put a bunch of core stickers on the kids' helmets. Got to keep them off. But if you want to put like a team logo, their name, all of that, which used to be pulled off, we actually had it in a couple different all-star tournaments. Kids had to pull all the stickers off their helmets. Don't have to do that anymore. They can now be on there. So they must have either gotten tired of telling everybody to knock that stuff off. I don't know. But yeah, those are the big rule changes that came about this year. So I think probably the biggest one's just going to be the bats. Really going to have to encourage our coaches, educate our parents, and that is one thing that we'd like to do this year is probably have let's call it a preseason meeting of everyone, coaches, parents, players, everybody. Cody's been gracious enough, said we could do it in here, that we can kind of answer. You know, that is kind of a lot of these questions as we get with the parents and things like that. That why can't my kid use that bat? I already got this bat. Why I already have this? I get it. It sucks. Luckily, the league, we try really hard to provide bats for all the teams, so that if people can't afford a bat, don't want to buy a bat, that's fine. We have bats for kids, so that they can use these USA bats. So, any questions, thoughts on the rule changes? Clear as mud. Good. On to districts. Districts this year will be July 9th through the 12th. Graybull will be hosting them. So they'll be in Graybull this year for districts, majors and minors. And then state will be July 23rd through the 26th, and Lovell will be hosting that. So I've not yet heard from Lovell. I need to reach out to them where they are hosting state, whether they will be doing an All-Stars and Stripes tournament the 1st of July. If they're going to go ahead and still do that, even though they're doing both of them, that I kind of hope they do because it's a good tournament. If not, maybe it's something for us to look at is, do we try to host a tournament prior to this to get people to come to? Could use it a little bit as a fundraiser. So that takes care of kind of some house cleaning. I'm glad we got some other folks in here because this is where I wanted to open this up. Kind of just have a discussion here. 2024 year in review. Things that we'll try to keep track notes and stuff, but any concerns, questions, things people saw that they liked that happened last year, things people saw they didn't like that happened last year, things, ideas, hey, I think we should go about this way, we should try this, we should, I'm open to anything right now just because I feel that's how we're going to make the league better is we got to have everybody's input. I mean, everybody's got kids here that are playing, things like that. How do we go about this? Some things went well, some things didn't. We did a lot of things we thought was the right way. Looking back, wish we could have done some things different. So what are some thoughts as we move forward into this next year? So, and this is kind of, I put down some thoughts there, selection of all-stars, coaches and players. We talk about selection of teams. It's open. Thoughts, anything. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I thought you guys did great last year. With everything, my biggest concern was just the overall maintenance of the fields. They were hard as a rock at sometimes at points in the season, especially after we made it to state. There was like that 2 or 3 week gap, and the fields were not maintained at all. And they were literally concrete. You could bounce a basketball on them. And so I'm just curious, that was something I learned last year is I'd be willing to do some of that maintenance. I would just, if we knew where that equipment was, how to walk the field.
Ian's going to have to help me out on this a little bit because Ian's pretty much, his title is changing to heads groundskeeper of Little League.
You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
About the minors field,
Yeah. And so,
there's that much clay, and there's that much playground, and there's nothing in between.
and so what we've been trying to kind of answer, we've been trying to get the city. So this is where we run into, so for those of you that don't know. So while we use the fields, those fields are technically owned by the city. And so anything we do to them has to be approved of by the city. And then funding for that, take a guess.
Yeah.
They're willing to let us put as much money as we want into that field. But they're not going to put anything into it. They haven't.
Is that the Parks and Rec department?
No.
It
Well,
falls under Parks and Rec.
yeah.
And I do know, talking to Eric Casey, because he's the head of Parks and Rec through, was head of Parks and Rec, he's now head of roads, but roads is on the Parks and Rec. They did start putting some money in to look at trying to work on the fields, and we've looked at it. The issue with the miners field is it's a completely reconstruct. You can't, there's nothing we can do to modify it, and it is, it's I can't drag it, I can drag it all I want, it doesn't soften up. Now you go down the major field, and that thing, that was built correctly, it has the right amount of dirt, it's all set up right, so yeah, that field is great, and you can see the miners field, but I can drop the rake on there, and I can, put down the digger head, and you can't, and all you see is grooves, you just can't do anything. And we did a bunch of work to it, before we closed.
Districts. Yeah, it was districts. We did a ton of work.
We added, we did a bunch of work to it, but it has to be completely redone, dug out, and then built back up for it to actually ever get soft. But that miners field is it's sad to say this, it is what it is until either we come up with a bunch of money or the city has the extra funding to completely rebuild it.
And to be honest, really, to get it redone, it's probably more or less going to fall onto us because no one else uses them. That's the argument we took to the city a few years ago when we used to have to pay a $500 a month reservation fee to use all the fields. Is we went to him and said, what are we reserving it for? I was like, well, so you can play on it. I said, well, no one else plays on it. I said, it's only us. And so we'll take the chance of not having the field one night if some random team comes into town to play. But it's never happened.
There is a short-term solution that I don't see got done last year consistently. Is we had large rubber mats that we covered
Yeah.
batters boxes in the mounds, and that allowed us to do some work on those mounds like throughout the season, and in the boxes. And the coaches just got away. Things just happened. And I don't think they were consistently covering the two boxes in the catcher's area in the mound.
And that's a big thing.
That's a short-term solution that coaches need to get together, and we need to train the coaches of what to do besides turn the lights off when they leave.
Right. We could all just be on the same page.
Yeah.
At least try to make it work.
The big issue with the equipment is the city only allows certain people to run
Like the tractor.
the tractor and stuff like that.
So like we try to keep in each shed, in each shed's got a pounder, a tampon bar, a couple rakes, and the chalk is kept in all those booths. But like the tractor, like really, I think Ian's the only one that's technically, and Justin's probably still from way back when. But because you have training or something, yeah, in order to drive the city tractor. So
It's that's super hard.
really complicated piece of equipment that we have to be specially trained to drive.
But there is another piece of equipment that would help in the short term too, and that's connectors to the hoses to try to soften the fields
Yeah.
prior to practicing games and stuff.
And I guess that's something, if we get those, I mean, that's something as a league, we could definitely purchase those connectors, I think, to help out if the city doesn't have them.
There should be connector in both fields.
Is there now?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think it's just training people where things are and,
Yeah.
and making sure people get back.
Yeah, no, that's good. We can definitely, I think we can do that. We can have like a training with the coaches, we can have Ian come. Because, yeah, Ian, I mean, be honest, if without Ian, we wouldn't have any sort of fields because I will never make it in time to get one drug before a game. And so Ian's been very kind and done that for us over the last, I've been here since 18, and he's been tracking them since then. So, but no, definitely. And I think that's something, if anybody has any ideas like along that line of redoing those fields, I mean, long term, think of people we could maybe reach out to for sponsorships, or, I mean, we get a lot of jerseys and stuff taken care of, but like that is something like we couldn't up the kids' fees enough to cover a new field. We're gonna have to figure out a way to find somebody or companies
We need
to,
a grant writer. That's what we need. We need a professional grant writer.
yeah,
I know Sarah Bernhardt with GMB Masonry.
yeah,
They were very interested in redoing the Babe Ruth field, and they have other friends who want to help do that. So maybe we could, which we can't because it's the city's, but
yeah.
maybe we can contact them, which I can do that.
Yeah, if you want to contact, that'd be great. Because I think, from my interactions with Eric, if anything, like if we want to redo the field, he'll allow it because it benefits the city by having us do it. Greatly benefits us, benefits them. It's a win-win for everyone. It's just it's going to fall on us to make it happen. But I think especially these little things, and we have the mats and stuff like that. So making sure we get all the coaches trained up on, hey, these mats are here for a reason. A couple of years ago when it was raining so hard, they did save us because we could play some games because everything was covered, so we could jerk them off and at least play and get them covered back up. So, no, I appreciate that. Go, Justin.
I just have one comment. You're going to hold it, thank you. One comment, and I don't know if we can change that or whatever, but last year, like with the scheduling, and I know we're trying to get games in, but like Jonathan and I on the majors, when it got that way, we didn't have anywhere to practice because we
Yeah.
had games like every night. And so it's like just a struggle to be on the actual field to
Yeah.
practice with the kids. So just a suggestion of, I know it's hard, I've
Yeah.
been there, but just trying to figure out that if there's an off night or something,
Yep.
and we did that, like when school's going, it's hard because you don't want to be late, but I don't know how to help
Yeah,
out.
so I think the big thing with our games, if we're going to double them up at night, the big thing is so another little background story. So last year, some parent got ticked off in Rock Springs or Gillette. I think it was Rock Springs, because the games were played an hour and a half, which we've done for years with minors, to try to be able to fit games, time, bed, dinner, life, all of that. Well, apparently the game didn't end how a parent thought it should have ended. So they went in and looked, and by Little League rules, all majors and minors games need to be played an hour and 45 minutes in order to be considered a game, or 4 innings. So they threw a fit, went to the head region, and said, hey, these games aren't being played long enough, they shouldn't count. So, and this had nothing to do with like selection, going to tournament play. It was strictly a town tournament. I mean, it's what we do. And so Jenny Lynn got a call, said, hey, this is what's up. You can't do that. So we then tried to put in a petition. They're like, well, we're way past league play, because the rest of a lot of Little League is by the time we start league play, most Little Leagues are into their districts and state tournaments. And so Wyoming's kind of forgotten in that regard. So she has already put in that amendment and everything like that. So we should be good to go this year. I mean, we've never had a problem with it here, but we should be good this year to where if we wanted even majors games, we could shorten them to an hour and a half. So but if we do that, the key is you got to stay on it. We can't be like, oh, well, it's close, let's play one more inning and it goes into an hour and 55 minutes, because that puts the next game that much further behind. And so I can say, I mean, I'm happy to double up not games during the school year. It just makes it, I totally get you, Justin. Like, yeah, it's nice to go practice on the field versus, especially for the older kids, the majors and the minors, to have the pitching mound, to have all of that for practice. And so the thing is, if we do that, we're going to have to be very, very, hey, time's up, we're done. We can't go any longer. And so those first games may get shorted a little bit. Maybe they'll play, and that's the problem too. To count as a full game, 4 innings have to be played in that hour and a half. So there's a lot of things that have to work like clockwork in order for that to. Last year in the majors, we could have done it. We played 6 innings typically in an hour and 45 minutes, an hour and, I mean, sometimes we almost went into 7 innings because we had time, which, granted, I think it says a lot for our program that by the time our kids are getting into the majors, they're playing baseball. It's fun watching. And I think that as we get into the minors, it seems to tend. If you have older minors, you can roll through a lot of baseball. If it's a lot of younger kids, it's a lot different because they're trying to learn, they're trying to remember everything. And so, but I hear you. I think anything we need to do this is something after we got done with last year, we brought up a bunch of different times, but I think it is something we really need to look for this year is trying to do some sort of Google form sign up that all the coaches have access to, where they can get on there and request a time for a field. They can see when the field's occupied, so that we don't have these instances where, 2 or 3 coaches show me, like, oh, I thought I was going tonight. Like, no, I said I was going tonight. Like, and then we get this confusion. That way we can kind of make sure everybody gets that chance at a field.
I agree with Justin of having a facility to practice, and I really like alternating days. And I understand why we did what we did the first time, or last year.
Yeah.
That made sense to me too. But if you want to speed up games, those of us that have coached, I mean, that comes back to training coaches of this is where your equipment should be laid in the dugout. So when we transition and teach kids to run on and off the field, and maybe get to our head umpire and teach our kids to expand the strike zone a little bit and make kids swing more. And I think we've all been, those of us that have been through this, some of those kids are daring you to throw a strike, which leads to walk after walk after walk, and maybe expanding the zone a little bit and getting an understanding of what a little league strike zone looks like is different than a major league strike zone or even a high school strike zone might speed things up and force the kids to swing the bat a little bit. But
No, I agree. I think there's lots of
having
things.
gone through this personally, though, I know the value, especially at minors and majors, of having that off day to practice. And it would also maybe even open up an opportunity to reschedule a game if we got backlogged, and I think we did a little bit last year.
Yeah, we lucked out in the majors because we gave ourselves an extra week, and so we minors we weren't able to because we had so many teams. And so and that's the other part that comes to that. It depends on registration. We end up with only 2 teams in the majors. Well, Jonathan can testify for that, 4 years ago? You guys had all the time in the world to do whatever you wanted because there's only 2 of you. But at the same side, it kind of stinks only playing the same team because you have to have – so in order for a kid to qualify for all-star play, they have to play in at least 8 games, but 12 have to be scheduled. And so there's only 2 teams. That's an awful lot to play each other. Almost need to pick new teams halfway through the season and try again, because it just so I have no problem. I like having the problem of having too many teams, or I shouldn't say too many, a lot of teams, because I like having these issues.
Whether you go to an alternating day or you go every day, I think maybe the board should revisit the rules and see how they're written. I know sometimes our intent is one way and then it gets written another way, but that might be something that the board looks at is pull out each set of rules, and if there is time limits, how does that look? And
Yeah.
that was one good thing I wanted to say that I saw. I think you put a QR code or something on the fence.
Yeah, we
was
did.
that for the rules? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
it had to do with some bad issues and stuff, and so we ended up.
Yeah,
but
but I think
it's a
that's a
QR
great
code that we
direction.
can add. The nice part is we can keep adding to that, so we can put whatever rules. I don't remember what all rules we put on it. I
But
think we
being
put-
able to refer anybody who
Yeah,
is clueless to just go scan that and start reading
yeah.
might be a really good thing to do.
No, I appreciate that. 'Cause, yeah, I think that's the hardest thing with this still is there's a lot of us that have done it for a lot of years, and it's kind of second nature. We just roll through it. We pick up the few new rules. We go on with it. But we also have a lot of people coming in that this might only be their first or second year, and their kids' first or second year. So we got to be able to help. How do we help? How do those of us that know kind of what's going on? We need to make sure we're reaching out to those that don't. What do you need? And so I think any ideas like that. We did the QR code last year. Like I said, try to do this maybe meeting for everyone to kind of voice some of these other concerns. And anything else would be greatly appreciated. Go, Jonathan.
And I would say too, going to Game Changer, I thought was a really good,
Yeah.
plan. And there's things I think doing a little coaching and stuff to improve it to be
Yep.
more consistent. I think is needed, but for a first step, I think that was a really good
Yeah.
direction to.
I'll be honest, with all-star selection as far as players, it was a lot of you definitely could tell that people that knew how to use it now, I mean, the deal that went on. But in some instances, it was good to be able to pull that up, and you could see, hey,
How many times they struck out? How
yeah,
many
or
times,
you got 2 players
yeah.
that are have the exact same amount of votes or people want them, and you go to Game Changer, and one kid actually outperformed the other quite a bit in every category. It's like, well, kind of tells you kind of where we're laying at or things like that. And so, and I know I tried to get it out to some coaches like in the majors so they could look at it and be like, it's hard. You want to know every kid, but that's, again, the nice part of having so many kids is you don't always remember. I don't remember how that kid played that game. And so with the Game Changer, it did make it nice I thought, to be able to go back and I'll be honest, for tournament play, it was excellent because I could just get on there and look at everybody's record and be like, hey, here's your one. I mean, they seeded it for you and everything. As long as all the games got put in, everybody was seeded. You could just put them right into a bracket and go. And so it saved a lot of time. So I do think we need to do some Game Changer training
Yeah.
and things like that. So
I would say just, consistency on hits was the biggest thing,
Yep.
which is just, that will come with time. And then the one thing I would say, this is more for travel ball and Little League, just because I always want to make sure that we're not doing anything to hurt Little
Yeah.
League and have a good relationship. But the scheduling, you guys shortened it up quite a bit last year for the time frame for Little League,
Yep.
which probably interfered a little bit with pitch counts because we were still playing travel
Yeah,
ball.
it
Because
did.
that was the hope was to end travel ball and then finish tournament play and not be involved with, once it gets into the season for
Yeah.
the league for end of year tournament. But it kind of did last year. So, so I don't know what you're scheduling, but it used to be end of June, which is almost too late.
Yep.
And then this time moved to
Yeah, we were
early
the second
June.
week in June this year.
So mid-June, June 20th.
Yeah.
Last travel ball tournament is usually the 8th.
The 8th, so the 8th of June is how we always had it. And so if we do it after that, but we can adjust it because last year I felt like it was a little bit of an issue and I always said like Little League comes first, and so we want to base our schedule
Yeah.
based on you guys. But I did feel like the Little League schedule was a little bit short too.
Yeah.
Just where it seemed like it was short. So
I think that was a level tournament,
The level tournament was a week earlier than normal last year.
so.
That was part of it. And so that we're trying to get ended short enough to get at least a week practice before they went to level. And so that was where all that got shortened up. And then to answer your question, though, so I learned this last year because I've heard this debate among not just here, multiple states everywhere. Travel ball, Little League, pitch counts. Doesn't matter. Little League pitch counts or Little League pitch counts, travel ball is travel ball. Now, saying that, you have to be respectful of the child's arm. That's the whole. But the only reason I bring that up is let's say that a kid did pitch 25 pitches on Sunday and had a Little League game on Monday. Technically, he could still pitch and be fine, and it wouldn't affect his Little League pitch counts at all. I would strongly advise against a kid that's been pitched 75, 80 times on Sunday, turned around and pitched 85 pitches on Monday. And so just for reference, those pitch counts actually don't matter per league, but on paper, but for child welfare, arms and that, they do matter greatly. So we don't blow up kids' arms way too young. So, yeah, not our goal. So, no, this is good stuff. I appreciate it.
Can I go back to Game Changer?
Yes.
You need to do something for volunteers, because it was the same people doing it.
Yeah.
Anna was there every night. I was there more than I'd want to be, but maybe like first practice, mandatory parent training, someone can come out and show them how to use Game Changer.
No, and that's that was one thing I wanted to bring up is the only way this thing keeps going forward is with people volunteering. If we don't have coaches, we don't have teams. If we don't have people volunteer to umpire, we don't have games. If we don't have parents willing to step up and run Game Changer for that hour and 45 minutes while their kid's playing, it doesn't work. Running the booth. And I think, personally, I think we're going to look at that as a board. I'd really like to see something probably where it's, if you're home team, your job is Game Changer. If you're away, your job is the booth. And that is your responsibility. If you are the away team, it's your job to have someone in that booth keeping pitch count, running the scoreboard. And if you're the home team, it's your job to run the Game Changer for that game. And I think that's an easy way that we can kind of separate that. But what that's going to require is you as coaches or any coaches and parents is got to be willing to step up. If you don't know how to do it, we are happy to show you. I'm more than happy to come to a coach's practice, first or second practice. We can do a mimic. Donnie did it with us. What was that before? All-Stars a couple years ago? Or was it? It was before districts because we had to have all the, and back, no Game Changer was allowed. It had to be all on book, but all the books had to be the same in order to have everything go right. And so it was about he basically called a game and you had to go through and fill out the book according to what he was telling you. And so, that's something we can easily do with Game Changer. And I think as we get more and more people trained in it, then, you don't have to you can still sit by each other. You can still watch the game. It really doesn't distract you from being able to watch your kid play. I guess that would be my big plug on that is a lot of us in here ran Game Changer, videoed, and tried to announce at the same time. And so it is doable. Yeah, it wasn't at your kid's game. And so I think that's the big thing is just realizing that it takes a little give and go from everybody. I don't want to put the Game Changer all on the coaches because that does distract you from being able to keep track of what's going on the field, which I feel for the coaches is their most important responsibility is what are the kids doing? How's it going? Are we staying safe? Have we got kids where they need to be? And so I really think this needs to fall to the parent side of it, of the kids playing, that the away team takes care of the booth, home team takes care of Game Changer. And we have a tablet that the way it can work two ways. If I can import the games to those tablets, The players can be put on them. They don't have to be connected to Wi-Fi or anything. The whole game can be scored. I can take it home to my house, hooks to Wi-Fi, loads up. Or you're free to hotspot to it. If you'd rather have it live and go, you can hotspot to it and go as you go. But the league does own 2 Galaxy tablets. They're bigger. They're easy to see. Game Changer works pretty well on them. And I have those set up so that they're able to change players, numbers, all of that with those league ones due to the way that membership works with the league deal. So that, I don't know. I know it was kind of fun too because I knew there were some parents. I actually had some people say that their family from out of town was getting on it and watching the kids' games. It wasn't, we didn't have any video, but they were able to watch the score and see what was going on. So I think that's something that is pretty neat.
From an umpire standpoint, I'm not volunteering myself to be an umpire for the Little League.
That's in a little bit. We'll get to that.
I do want to say a couple of things. One, I happen to teach an enrichment class on Fridays from now till the end of the school year, and half of our enrichment, starting in March or April, our enrichment is baseball. And so, yeah, we're going to play some wiffle ball and have lots of fun, but I thought part of that I was going to train all these 6th, 7th, and 8th graders on how to umpire.
Yeah.
And then I was going to try to push them into some summer umpiring because I know that last year we opened that up and kids tried to come in and it just seemed like a great idea without a lot of training. And so I've got 25 kids in the class, in my class on Friday. So we're actually gonna take a field trip and actually go to the Little League field, talk about mechanics and location and where you're supposed to be. And I hope that, if a handful of those kids want to do minors games or something like that, that would be cool. And then just on top of that, not having a kid in minors or majors last year and being a spectator and watching, I think intentions are good with coaches, but I don't think our training of coaches of how to talk to officials is as good as it could be. For instance, if there's a play in the field that takes place, John does a really good job of this. I like watching John coach because he'll call timeout and he'll go to the home plate and then he'll discuss it in a calm voice with the official, and the other coach will come visit. I just think maybe we need to think about a policy or a training of how a coach should disagree with what's going on the field. Instead of what I saw last year, and they're good intentions, but adults screaming across the diamond either into the other dugout or at the kid. My kid was an umpire last year as a 12-year-old kid umpiring in the field of the minors game. He makes the correct call, and the coach, I think Rodney, you were the coach in the other dugout, but the guy comes out and he's like, that's not correct, when in fact my 12-year-old was correct. And whether he was right or wrong doesn't matter. Teaching coaches to go to the dish and talk about that,
Yeah.
and then moving on instead of screaming, nah, you don't know what you're doing, you're 12.
Yeah.
I think good intentions are there, but I would just recommend maybe some kind of training and discussion with our coaches of how you handle that stuff.
No, it's been on a lot on my mind too, because we always need coaches, and so how do we give? We try to give the players everything we can: catcher's gear, mitt, ball, bat, all this stuff, so these kids will come play. But this is something I thought about: is do we really give the coaches everything they need? Yeah, we give them Game Changer, I give them a gear bag, but do we really give them? We luck out. We have a lot of guys that have coached, but with more and more teams, we need more and more coaches. And so how do we take the new coach and help them instead of just baptism by fire, man, wish you the best, hope you make it. Best of luck. Because there is a lot of that. How do you discuss a call that wasn't right? And then how do you, at the end of the day, just get over it, move on. It's a Little League baseball. It's more about what's going on with the kids than whether or not we're cleaning house or what, you're winning all the games. And so I think that's the big thing, is helping keep that perspective, and in the players, the parents, the coaches, kind of throughout the whole board, the whole deal. I think that's very important. And yeah, I love that the younger kids are wanting to come helping out. I know I've heard from a few of them already, they want to, And to be quite honest, if we don't have them, we will not have umpires.
That's the other thing too, I thought really quick is in terms of our budget, we need to spend some money on some shirts that
Fit.
professional and all that kind of stuff. I know we get going and life happens, but
Well, it's on the agenda.
It's fairly inexpensive, and when kids look the part, they're going to be treated better.
Oh yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say. Adults included too.
Yeah, no, it's true. And we are. I mean, Michael Welch, he's done a great job for us over the last few years as our head umpire, and he's asked that he could step down so that he can kind of take care of a bunch of stuff with his family because it's been occupying a lot of his time. And so the head umpire is open, and so we need another head umpire. It's not an easy job. It's not a fulfilling job. Not a lot of people are happy you're doing it, but I am. I'm extremely grateful for that job being filled because I need someone there. We have to have someone there that can not only step in and umpire, but that can help train, help get these kids up and going. And I think, like I said, being out in the field, it's a great place for these younger kids to learn how to umpire a game. And us as parents, board members, people in the community, we need to realize that, hey, kid's young, he's doing his best. How do I help them? How do I help them? Because we need them. And it's not just, this crazy part is officiators are in short supply at the high school level and at the recreational level. So there are, I know and it's mainly due to the way parents are treating them. I'll be 100% honest. That is why. It has to deal with how parents are treating the officials. That's why there's a shortage of them. It's not my job to sit back here and be ridiculed by all these parents when all I'm trying to do is help their kid be able to play a game. And so I think that's some message that we really need to work on as we're at the ball fields and stuff is, hey, things get heated. I can get heated. We're all competitive. That's why we play sports. But trying to figure out how we make this so we can get everybody in order and in line. So this is good. Definitely use a lot of these considerations and thoughts as we go into our board meetings and into the year of how can we implement this. And also, please, my cell phone's up there. If I don't answer, please leave a message because I won't know you called sometimes if you don't leave a message. Just due to how my service is and stuff, shoot me a text. My email is pretty simple, Daniel John Dalton, JOHN, @gmail.com. Feel free to reach out to me there. I will do my very best to get back with people in a timely fashion. So we will talk here, I guess, unless, is there anything else anybody wants to discuss on? Go, Zach.
In general, not just practicing at the fields, but last year with the team we asked to find a place for T-ball, and then I coached minors. So finding a place for either of those teams that practice, I wasn't ready somewhere else because the soccer people basically
They have they get first priority. They pay a reservation fee is what I was told, and so therefore they are allowed first dibs on certain fields.
Right. But
So
does that mean we're not allowed to practice it? Does that, it's
that's
part.
so I visited with, depends on who you talk to.
And I work in the city, so believe me, I call up and
But I visited with I visited with softball, I visited with soccer, with all of them, and they said that there were certain nights that no one was going to be at those fields, and if we would like to use them on those nights, then we can. But it'll just take coordinating with all the other entities that already have those fields reserved, and knowing that even if by chance hey, this field's open tonight, if you show up there and say you go to the softball fields, softball has the reservation fee paid on that field. If a softball team happens to show up, you got to pack up and leave. That's just how it is. Because I know people trying to use softball fields last year too. Yeah, a couple of the parks are I don't know if they practice soccer every night, but there are a few of them that are pretty occupied with soccer, and so.
I don't know how the
Schools, you are allowed to practice. So this is from when I did that discussion. We are allowed to practice on any school field we want, barring the football field. But Livy, Sunset, East Side, even the middle school, you can practice on those fields as long as not a school function is going on in that field. We cannot hold games in those fields, but we can practice in them. So that's how that goes there.
But doing some sort of Google Doc.
Yeah. And that's the deal is, I mean, we can go through with that Google Doc. I mean, that's a nice part of the Google Forms, making it available to everyone, is we can put on there, hey, these are the fields that are available for practice. And so coaches can get on there and see what field can I go to? What park can I go to? What is available to go to that's not already used by somebody else? Because it's tricky in the spring. There's a lot of things going on. So as far as I know, I think if I remember right, you have travel softball, club softball, and high school softball. Am I correct, Amanda? All going on. Then you have fire soccer, is there some rec soccer then too? Or is it just fall? Okay. So it's just the fire soccer, but isn't that like kind of the premier fire soccer is spring? So it's got usually, I mean, I think last year they had like 4 parks, and when you drove by there, they were pretty well used up. So there's a lot of spring again. Everybody's trying to get out and get going. So I know Livingston's always been good. Those fields are always usually available. East side, a lot of times their big field is a pretty good place to, and it's big enough that like for T-ball, you could practice 4 T-ball teams on it. You can't really do it with the older kids, but you could practice 4 T-ball teams on it. We'll probably try to get the park that we've used the last 2 years for T-ball again. For T-ball, it seems to be a park that works. There's bathrooms, there's a playground. We can do 2 to 3 games going at one time out there, which is nice. The city will mark a field for us out there, however we want it set up. So plan is to do T-ball the same as we've been doing, 8 to 9 or 6 to 8 kids on a team, to keep it so that, yes, that doesn't fill every position on the team, but it makes it so you can actually control them and that everyone gets a chance to play. That's the key to T-ball. So, I mean, that really is our expectation with T-ball, is get the kids playing, let them learn how to field a ground ball, swing a bat, get them started. So, registration dates, we will, I've not opened them yet, but I will get them open probably within this week. I will send out a team reach plus an email. Most likely everyone wants dates they're open, but I'm hoping to get them open. Yeah, it may not be tonight, but hopefully by tomorrow or the next day get it open. And so then we'll be coming up with, so kind of with the restructuring, last year at our annual meeting, we did a whole restructuring with bylaws and different things because there was some confusion in that stuff. And so we've changed this, kind of jumped down to the bottom a little bit. So we changed it to, we have a 9 voting board membership kind of deals, how that runs. Those 9 members vote on what goes on outside of this annual meeting. Those board meetings are open to anyone that ever wants to come. More than happy to listen to everyone that wants to come, you can come. But if a vote's taken in those meetings, it's just those 9 members. And so things such as, I just wanted to, kind of get some people's ideas for the final, I'm calling it evaluation day. We try out tryouts, but they're really not tryouts because we take every kid. It's more of an evaluation. And so we need to come up with the date we think we want to do evaluations, and then when do we want this season to start, and kind of just throw some ideas out. I appreciate some guys bringing up, hey, we don't mind playing a little longer. Things of that nature, because I feel like when we do registration, if I can put out all of this when we do registration, it answers a lot of questions, because a lot of parents are like, oh yeah, we were going to do it, but I didn't know when it was going to end, and we got this trip planned or that trip planned. It gives people a chance to plan summer trips or things like that, so they know how that goes. So last year, I don't have it on my phone. I meant to put it on here and I forgot to. My apologies. We did evaluations, and because we picked teams right after spring break or right before. Evaluations were right before spring break. We took spring break to combine, and it was right after spring break is when we got together to pick teams.
So we did the tryouts on March 7th,
That's when we did them?
and then we did our draft as well.
Okay.
Spring break is the last month.
Yeah, so it was the
Last week.
of March this year. Yeah, it is. That's what I forgot to put that in there. But yeah, it is spring break. Just kind of to give everyone an idea. Spring break is the 24th through the 28th of March. That's the Monday through Friday. So most people will be pretty much non-available if they're going anywhere from the 21st till the 30th. I mean, more or less, if we to do in there. So I know it was like, man, it seems so early, but that's the problem. Is if we don't do it that early, the biggest thing we run into is jerseys. Because we are very limited on our jerseys. We've got some ideas we're going to try this year, but jerseys becomes our limiting factor because everyone else is done with ordering jerseys. They've ordered them 6 months ago for their seasons, and so that's what we're trying to make sure we have jerseys here by the time we start. I know last year I think we used we did kind of what are people's feelings on how we started last year? Where we started majors and minors earlier, and then we delayed T-ball and machine pitch, I think 2 weeks after that or 3. We kind of gave them a little bit, we didn't go, but we still ended them about the same time as we typically do, that first to second week in June, because it seems like those are the kids that, they like to play, but if you kind of get going past that, your participation tends to kind of filter out, just family stuff and that. So I think it's good because those little kids are not going to, I don't want to freeze them out. I don't want to, those are the games that we actually have to watch the closest on. Can they play tonight? Can they not play tonight? The nice part about the machine pitch and the T-ball, doesn't matter as far as games played. If they only played 4 games all season, that's fine. It's not necessarily your money's worth, so we try to play more than that. But there's no requirement of games for that age group. It's only in the older kids, just for all-stars. So I was just trying to remember, because I think we did. I'm trying to remember in our first baseball game if it was April 8th. On my calendar, trying to see which one. State wrestling. Yeah, I said that's what. Yeah, we were practicing before that, but I think April 8th was the first week of majors and minors baseball last year, and then we started the practice started in May. That's right. That's what it was. That's what it was. We set it up so that you could have all of April to practice, and then it was May's when we started games. That's what I was like, man, I can't find it, but there it is. Yeah, first weekend, it was May. It was April, I think it was actually April 29th is when April 29th was opening day for majors and minors. And then, if I remember right, then the other thing was, it seems like with the little kids, because school, I need to see what day school gets out this year. It's May. I know it's the end of May. I had it in my head, but I think it's, last day's the 30th. Yeah, it is. It's the actual 30th. It seems like with that, by starting them with the little kids, I think we started them like that third week in May or something like that, because it was a little warmer, and we got to go all of May. We could kind of just do the one game a night, but then as soon as you hit June, it didn't matter. We could those kids could bump right into 2 games a night, no big deal. Well, they weren't messing with school, because it seems like that's the age group that, I don't know, at least for my kid that's that age, those are ones that getting them home, getting them to bed, getting them somewhere matter way more than the older kids can handle it a little better. But so any pros, cons, anybody dislike like that, we kind of go the same route. 1st of May, we can, and like I said, we could plan it to end we got July 9th, so is when All-Stars start. So depending on what coaches, and it seems like coaches would like at least 3 weeks of practice with the All-Stars prior to their first tournament. I know we got a handful of you that have coached All-Stars in here. What are your feelings on that? It seems like, Justin, you did it the one year. I think we did them like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Or I think Jake's, I don't think yours was very much longer than that.
No.
It was.
Having gone through this, I don't have a kid in a minor or major situation, so I'm out of the discussion. But the sooner you can select that, and the sooner that people can make plans for that experience, to say the least, the better.
Yep.
And I know that, like, in our
you know, we've had discussions when our son went through, and it was like, well, let's not tell anybody till after the tournament. And I think that does us a disservice as a group to get our kids organized. And I think we just need to teach our kids, these are the decisions that we made, and there's full transparency, and here's the group that we're going with. And if a kid doesn't get selected, then you move on to the next kid. But I just think that those decisions should be, I personally would say those decisions should be made sooner than later.
Yeah.
For all parties. And, you know, some of the other leagues or some of the other programs I see online, they'll have a tryout day and invite anybody who wants to try out for All-Stars come, and then they make that selection the next day. And that might be, and that's in the middle of the season. I think Riverton does that, and Rock Springs does that, and some others.
A lot of them do.
Yeah.
It's a lot of them.
And I know why we waited late, is we were trying to like protect kids and their feelings and all that kind of stuff. But to me, it almost goes the opposite way, where everything is, there's a lack of transparency and we don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, here's a list.
Yeah.
But that's my personal experience going through it.
No, it's just one thing. Put a lot of thought into this, because I've seen it done multiple ways, and I've actually been toying with this idea of what you want to call it, the tryout for All-Stars or something like that. Because I don't know if that's our best. If we should try that one year and see if we like that, if we don't like that. I mean, I think it gives, you see the kids that really want to do it, because that is one thing we run into when we do make selections is you start calling and telling people like, oh, well, we've got plans, we can't go. And it's like, okay, well, now we're back to what do we do now? And so that was a thought I had with the tryouts as well. If we did a tryout, you see the kids that, you know, you tell people, hey, these are the weekends you're going to be gone. This is the commitment that it takes. If you're willing to put up this work, throw your name in the hat. Maybe we could just say that, see what kids say yes to that. I think some of those towns are a little bigger, like that they don't see all the kids play as much. I think we see our kids play quite a bit. So, but I think I like the transparency, just the, hey, because I do think we got to get the ball rolling sooner.
The one thing that we were just talking about a little bit, I think another thing, and I think you would take, again, depending on how many teams you have or whatever, I think we talked a little bit about it, but we used to, once you got your list or whatever, like the managers would meet and you'd go over, you know, kids, because like Jonathan and I are just talking, like I saw him play 2 games, but you had him all year.
Yeah.
Like, is it an issue or not? But even that, just that face-to-face to discuss, and some of them, it's easy to tell. And then you get down to the ones, like you said, that are tie vote, and you're like going, all right, what do you think of this kid or not? I mean, just have that discussion with the managers that were coaching all year with that kid or with those teams.
Well,
just a suggestion.
Yeah, and with that, I'd throw out, we've in the past, we've not had many coaches wanting to do All-Stars, be the coaches. Last year was an anomaly that since I've been on the board, we had way more coaches than ever wanting to help coach.
Well, I'd even take, like, I think the one year we did it with all the league coaches.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. But here was I was going with that is, I almost think that my personal feeling is we get the manager picked before any of this happens. And then when he decides that meeting happens, because ultimately the guy that's going to coach them, the team that's going to coach that team, needs to truly be willing to play the kids that are on that team. I don't know how to word that just right, but they're the ones that's going to be in charge of that team. And so I think their opinions matter the most on who's on that team. But I think the opinions of all the guy that's coached him all season is very valuable, because he's the one that's coached him all season. He knows the ins and outs, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. And so that's one thing, just trying to go around about that is any suggestions about that. My feelings going forward, just having seen it done multiple ways, is everyone that wants to be a manager throws their name in a hat. We either have a meeting where everyone that wants to be the manager, we do a majors and a minors. Hey, anyone that wants to be a majors managers come in. They stand in front of the board. They give us a proposal of what they see as a coach, how they see the going, what they want to do, all of that. We'll then vote on it as a board. We'll vote on the manager. And once the manager is chosen, he will then get to pick his next coaches. It's one way, depending on how many you want in. If there's only 2 of you that want to do it, I think that's a little different. That's a whole different scenario. I think that there's a chance there that, maybe, I thought that the majors worked well that way last year because we had 2 of our coaches that were willing to do it. We got to figure out one's got to be in charge, but the other one should be there too because they want to do it. They're willing to give up their time. They need to be in that scenario. Minors was a lot harder. We had, I think, 9. We can only take 3. So a lot different scenario. And so we kind of went through a couple different scenarios of how do we go about this? Do we just pick a manager? Do we let the manager pick the 2? Well, we have these 3 or 4 that say they're willing to be managers. So do we, I'm open to suggestions on this because this has been me and Justin have had lots of talks about this. I don't know how to do it. I honestly don't. I've tried a bunch of different ways. I've always upset people. I've got thick skin, so it doesn't bother me. But at the same time, I'm not trying to do it to be arrogant or inconsiderate of others. I totally get why people want to help, because you love the kids. You want to be a part of it. But at the end of the day, we can only put 3 in the dugout.
Getting to meet as a group of coaches in the league, I think, is huge. So if there's 6 coaches, those guys meeting and having a real discussion about, well, who's available, who would like to do it. And like you said, if there's only one person, that's a pretty easy decision.
Yeah.
And if the coaches can't come to that decision, I think your idea of saying, hey, come submit a proposal to the board and we will vote on it. I think that's pretty fair. I just think transparency is number 1. Letting the coaches try to hash it out first is probably the best solution from what I've seen. And then if you can't come to an agreement, then let the board make those decisions. But having a circle of 5 or 6 coaches together can solve a lot of those issues, I think. And if they can't be solved, maybe the board can make that decision.
Yeah, and I'm willing to go that route. I'm willing to call a coaches meeting, and y'all are welcome. Also, we can sit down together. All the coaches want to do it, and you guys can hash it out and see if you can come to a conclusion. If we can't, then we'll move on from there. Like I said, I am open to suggestions on this because I would like to figure out a way that at the end of the day, everyone is, at least majority is good with it, so we can just step right in because I guess I always say this, but we got to have everybody got to be coherent and transparent up front so that it doesn't affect the kids in their play. That's the ultimate goal.
I just think technology kind of hurts us because, it's easy to just call or text somebody. But to actually put 5, 6 people in a room together, I think you get better results and people leave more content with the decisions that are made.
So.
Coaching takes place in practice. There's no limit on how many coaches you have in practice.
No, there's not.
We had 5 or 6 people helping that practice last year for minors all-stars. And then the games are straight in the dugout.
Yeah. And that's why, that was my deal last year. I said, I have no problem with how many you take to practice. There's no limit on how many are at practice. And that's great, because we can still utilize these guys that have helped coach some of these kids all year, different things that want to do it. But I do have to submit in a form that says these 3 are going to be in the dugout. And if these 3 aren't in the dugout, I can't just go get someone and put them. I know it sounds dumb, but there are so many of these little rules when you get into tournament play that if you do that, if I say I put you 3 right here, you were my 3 coaches, and I put you guys down on the list. Well, Rodney says, I can't make it. And you're like, it's all right, I'll just grab this guy. And I don't fill out the paperwork, and you win that game, and you're headed to go play in San Bernardino, that other coach can say, hey, nope, that wasn't their coach. And they say, well, too bad you guys stay home. It's dumb, but that will happen.
I think it's even more convoluted because if you have 3 guys that are on that list, and one guy can't make it, you sub one in with all the paperwork, that guy that didn't get to show up that one game, now he's out.
Yep, and you can only change that one other time. So that's the part I say, I want to be able to, and I think that's something we've just been talking about is the transparency. With all-star selection, I think we need to go about it where I don't think there's wrong. If we're going to run our season into June 20th, all-stars need to be selected and possibly practicing before the season ends. And that's good. There's going to kids that are going to be feathers are going to be ruffled, things like that. But that's how it's going to have to work. If we end up going into June 20th or the 3rd week of June, in order to have a team together that can play and be ready to go.
Uniform issues and all that
Yeah,
other stuff that.
we have to, honestly, the first week of June would be the perfect time to have the all-star team selected so that we can have all of this done.
And I think if we are transparent in how we choose our kids and the coaches and the parents know everything, it shouldn't be that big of a deal if we choose them earlier.
Okay. Well, I mean, so I need this feedback. Go, Jonathan.
I was just going to say, I think Jake's right as far as having a meeting. I don't know for manager or for coaches, like, I think for majors it probably would have been, fine. But if you have 9 people all wanting to coach, I don't know if that in a group setting is going to work out well, but maybe it would too. But I would say that part of that, if they can't come to it, then I think it's the board's decision to, make it. But I think for a selection of players, then I think that's where you have to have a meeting. Because I feel like it's hurt us not having a meeting the last 2 years, just because some people, it's like, oh, they had a fantastic game the one time we played them or 2 times we played them, but then the other kid that apparently was better had a terrible game. So, and I can think of, a couple kids that I probably would have voted differently after talking to people, but then we didn't have a discussion.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, shoot, well, but it was already decided then. So,
Just to throw one little loop in there, how many, we can have what, 13 or 14?
You can have up to 14, but you do not, there's no rule anymore you get 3 coaches no matter what. So you have to have at least 11.
What I was thinking
Yes.
is like. if-
12, at least 12. 11 has to be, to have 11, we had to have special permission. So it's 12. 12 is kind of that's what we shoot for.
It's highly possible it doesn't happen, but I think maybe that first week of June, we pick like 10, and you leave like 2 or 3 slots open, because you never know if some kid's just something's gonna click, and you got, something really good.
Yeah.
But he's not on that, he got hot at the right time, and he's staying hot, be able to carry that through.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing. There's a possibility of something like that.
Okay. My biggest concern was if you guys are willing to talk to your children and your friends' children, everybody like that, say, hey, all-star selection was made. We're still playing. Kids know who's who. It is what it is. And I think that, if you want to make it, I guess I've looked at it this way, with my kids, is you want to be there, this is what you got to be. And use it as a motivator for them for the next year. It's the nice part. If it's your first year in minors, you got 3 more chances to make an all-star team. So it's kind of that cool. I mean, that's the neat part of it is you got 4 chances through majors and minors to make an all-star team, and it is an experience. It's a lot of fun. It's a great thing to go do. And so I think I just want some more input on this. Something I've been racking my brain around since last year and the year before, trying to figure out how do we make this happen. So I think we got a handle on it now, though. So just kind of let's get this thing wrapped up so we can get out of here. So I think if you guys are good with it, we're gonna start t-ball and machine pitch. I think just kind of feelings. People good with, like, if we were to kind of buff, was that a good start the older boys first or the older kids and then younger kids later? That kind of a cool. So when we redid our voting last year, or our bylaws and stuff, we came up, I think 4 positions have term limits, president, vice president, treasury, and secretary. And we set it up so that they would offset. And so this year, the vice president and the treasurer are the 2 that are up. Just kind of the first off, Ian Morrison has been the vice president for probably, I don't know, as long as anybody can remember. And Ian's done a great job, but more importantly, he's done a fantastic job with us keeping care of the grounds. His input's great on the board as well. And so we have created, instead of we had 3 member at large positions. Now there's 2 member at large positions with heads groundskeeper being, but to make it official in this meeting, we need to vote on. All in favor of Ian Morrison being the head groundskeeper for Cody Little League, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Ian is now our official head groundskeeper. Totally different, totally different. So, our treasurer has been Rayanne Macias. She has done a fantastic job for us. I just really appreciate everything Rayanne's done for us. It's hard to put into words truly what it's meant to have her here on the board, helping us, gone through a ton of stuff together, getting this done. It's been a blast having her on the board, and we've greatly appreciated it. I just wanted to tell you thank you for that, Rayanne. In our last board meeting, we did have the proposal. We had one of the current board members would like to step up into that treasurer spot, and so the proposal was that we move Melissa Kraft from secretary to treasurer. All in favor with that, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Welcome to the treasury spot now, Melissa.
I'll be much better at that than I am secretary.
With that, one of our member at large said that she would be willing to step up into the secretary position. And so Stephanie has graciously, and through in the board meeting, we proposed that she was moved up to the secretary position. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. This one has not been discussed as much, but I make the nomination that we move Rodney Myers from member at large to vice president. Second. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Rodney, congratulations. I guess I could ask, does anyone want to remove me as president of the board? If not, I will serve out at least another year. So, currently, unless there is a change, I still have you at member at large, Amanda, unless you would like to change that, okay? And Cody is our player agent safety officer. Now, we have 2 open positions on the board. We need a member at large and a head umpire. So, I need at least 2 positions filled. If right now we can just put both of them at member at large, we can work out the head umpire in our board meetings. We can figure out that later. But if there's anyone that knows of anyone or anyone has contacted them about being a board member, I would thoroughly take nominations at this point. You'd do it? You'd be willing to be a member at large? Okay.
Allison Posey had a baby today.
Oh, she did? I was going to say she was wanting to be one too, wasn't she?
She's also
Okay.
her name in the hat.
Okay, well,
If there's enough.
there we go. We've got 2. We'll go with this way. It has been moved that Zach Hart be a member at large for the Cody Youth Baseball. Do we have a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I just forgot her name. Allison. I was so- yeah. It has been nominated that Allison Posey be made a member at large for Cody Youth Baseball. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Allison's in. You want to let her know, Rodney?
So Daniel, with that, since we have a full board and no head umpire, how do we fix that?
We will take care of it in board meetings. We may have to do, we'll figure.
Not be a board member?
It may not be a board member. So, because it doesn't have to be. We have just, yeah,
Is that something that Donnie would assist?
I'm going to reach out to Donnie and see how we can go about what really needs to be, because like, I don't have anything. So here, when you look at the boarding positions, is we went 9 so we could break a tie. That's why we went the number 9. Wanted to be able to have input from everyone. So kind of fill you in. So like president, vice president, head, and player agent are signatures, especially president and player agent are signatures that are needed to get kids to tournaments. We have to have a safety officer in order to have a safety. We have to turn in a huge safety deal every year. That has to be turned in. And then treasurer, of course, keep track of our money and everything like that, secretary for the notes and all of that. And so the head umpire is one of those, it can be a board member, it cannot be a board member. So then they can be a non-voting board member as well. So they'd be on the board because of the head umpire, but don't have a say really in anything that goes on. So, or as we look at this, if Zach so chooses, or Allison, or Amanda wants to change positions, or anyone else, we could shuffle that around to however we need to fit that. So that was kind of when we redid that last year, so it gave us those options. So with that, back to having a full board. I, again, just greatly appreciate everybody coming here tonight that's here. Anybody that's watching on Facebook, I'd appreciate it. But without the parents, the volunteers, the coaches, this doesn't happen. It truly doesn't. And so I do appreciate everybody's time and effort they put into this. The ideas, the conversations, like I said, there's my phone number. Feel free to reach out if there's something just itching at you, you can't get it off your chest, you don't know what to do, feel free to holler at me. So, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Wait,
Do we want to set our next meeting?
we'll set that as board members. So, yeah, appreciate that, everybody. So it has been moved that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. We gotta get Rodney to baseball practice. So we gotta get you to baseball practice.